In the heart of Lagos, where dreams collided with reality, lived a young girl named Eric. She was delicate yet resilient, with a quiet strength born of loss. Her parents had been successful business people, always bustling about on trips to far-off places, and promising to build a future for her. But one rainy evening, everything changed. A fatal car accident took them both, and at just 12 years old, Eric was left orphaned. Her uncle, Uncle Jide, and his wife reluctantly took her in. Their grand house in Lagos was a world apart from the warmth of her parents' home. Though grand on the outside, its rooms hid a coldness that seeped into Eric's bones. Life was cruel here. She was expected to work for her keep. Cleaning floors, washing clothes, and serving her cousins were her new duties. But even in this harshness, Eric's spirit remained unbroken. Little did she know, her destiny would not be confined by these walls. Every night, when her chores were finally done, Eric would sit by the window, gazing out at the glimmering lights of Lagos. She imagined her parents somewhere in those lights, guiding her, watching over her. The city held a magic for her that nothing could extinguish. Even in her small, confined room, Lagos was alive in her heart. She dreamed of a life filled with freedom, ambition, and purpose. Somewhere deep inside, a spark was lit, one that neither Uncle Jide's cruelty nor Aunt Rong's harsh words could extinguish. As she drifted to sleep, she would often hear distant music and laughter from the streets below. In her dreams, she was dancing among them, free as the wind, and always, there was a sense of hope, as though the city itself whispered, "Your time will come." One morning, Eric was sent to the market to fetch groceries, a rare escape from the house. As she wandered through the colorful stalls and buzzing crowds, a woman selling beads caught her eye. The woman, with eyes as sharp as a hawk, seemed to look right through her. "Young one, your heart speaks louder than your words," she murmured, handing Eric a small, vibrant bead. "Keep this. It holds your dreams." Eric took the bead, perplexed yet drawn to the woman's mysterious warmth. "Thank you," she whispered, clutching it tightly. It was just a bead, yet in her hand, it felt like a promise. She returned to her uncle's house with a sense of comfort, as if she now carried a little piece of Lagos with her. That night, Eric clutched the bead and whispered her hopes to it. She dreamed of a life where she wasn't a servant, where she could follow her passions and make a difference. She imagined running a business like her parents once had, but bigger, brighter, filled with warmth and love. It seemed impossible, yet the dream was vivid, and for the first time in years, Eric felt a spark of confidence. Days turned into months, and though Eric's workload remained relentless, she began to secretly save. Every small change she could scrounge, every coin she managed to hide, she stored in an old tin can beneath the floorboards. It wasn't much, but it was hers, and with each coin, her dreams grew stronger. Her vision of independence, of one day standing tall in the business world, became her beacon in the darkness. In Uncle Jide's house, Eric had one surprising friend, her young cousin Tond. Though much younger, Tond admired Eric's quiet resilience and her kindness. One night, after noticing the bruises from her daily walk, Tond whispered, "One day, you'll be free, Eric." His simple words gave her courage, and from that moment, Tond became her confidant, her little partner in dreams. Eric's big break came when she took a bold step. Using some of her saved money, she bought a few beads and cloth from the market and crafted beautiful bracelets and small bags. She sold them discreetly, away from her uncle's watchful eye. Her customers, impressed by the quality and creativity, began to spread the word. Though her earnings were small, it was a start, and for Eric, it was a taste of freedom. Her small business began to grow, with Tond helping her manage sales. The two worked late at night, turning fabrics and beads into unique, handmade treasures. Eric's eye for beauty was unmistakable, her designs were as vibrant as her city, each piece telling a story. Slowly, Her confidence grew, and so did her vision of a brighter future. As her business grew, Aunt Wrong's suspicion did too. One evening, she cornered Eric, demanding to know where she found time to make extra money. Eric managed to deflect, attributing her money to odd errands. But the encounter served as a warning. If her business was discovered, she would lose everything. She knew she had to be cautious, but her heart told her the risk was worth it. With Tom's support, Eric began exploring markets beyond her neighborhood. She saved enough to visit some of Lagos's trendiest areas, where her handmade creations could fetch a better price. Her reputation grew among vendors and customers alike, who admired her unique style and the mystery of the girl selling beautiful jewelry with such a fierce passion. One day, a local boutique owner took notice of her work. Impressed by her originality, he offered to display her pieces in his store. Eric could barely contain her joy. It was her first big opportunity, and with it came a new level of exposure. Her jewelry quickly became popular, and soon, she was struggling to keep up with demand. Just as things were looking up, disaster struck. Uncle Jide discovered Eric's hidden tin can, filled with her savings. Furious, he accused her of stealing. Though her heart raced with fear, Eric stood her ground, defending her hard work. Uncle Jide, however, was unmoved, forcing her to hand over her earnings. Devastated by the loss, Eric thought her dreams were shattered. But Tom encouraged her not to give up. "You're too strong to let this stop you," he whispered. And as the days went by, Eric felt her resilience return. She was more determined than ever to rise above her circumstances. Word of her uncle's cruelty spread, reaching a mysterious stranger who had once been touched by Eric's story. This benefactor, intrigued by her resilience and talent, began anonymously supporting her business, buying her pieces in bulk to help her regain her footing. Eric was baffled by the sudden influx of sales, but she continued to work tirelessly, knowing every piece brought her closer to freedom. Through her success, Eric began meeting people who would later prove invaluable. A prominent entrepreneur recognized her potential and offered her advice, guiding her on everything from sourcing materials to navigating business challenges. Her vision for the future grew sharper with every lesson. Gaining more confidence, Eric finally confronted Uncle Jide, asserting her right to pursue her dream. While he scoffed at her defiance, he could see her determination. Although the confrontation didn't change her living situation, it strengthened her resolve. She would make it, no matter what obstacles lay ahead. As Eric's business flourished, so did the envy of those around her. Whispers of jealousy circulated among her uncle's household, and Aunt Ronk became particularly hostile, seeking ways to undermine her efforts. Eric sensed the tension rising but chose to focus on her work, finding solace in the rhythm of creativity. The boutique owner who had first believed in her offered a showcase event, an opportunity for Eric to present her collection to an even wider audience. Excitement bubbled within her, but the weight of Uncle Jide's disdain pressed down hard. "You're just a child playing dress-up," he would sneer when she returned home late from meetings. Yet, she used his negativity as fuel, determined to prove him wrong. The day of the showcase arrived, and Eric was a bundle of nerves, dressed in a vibrant outfit she had sewn herself. The boutique was filled with influential figures in Lagos's fashion scene, and as Eric displayed her pieces, she felt a surge of empowerment. A well-known fashion blogger spotted her creations and was drawn in. "This is breathtaking. I can't believe this is all handmade," she exclaimed. Eric smiled, her heart racing with excitement. As the evening unfolded, orders began flooding in, and Eric knew this was a turning point. After the showcase, as Eric was packing up, a striking woman approached her. "I'm Adesewa, a designer from Abuja. Your work is incredible. I'd love to collaborate," she said, her eyes gleaming with enthusiasm. The offer was surreal. Eric had admired Adesewa's designs from afar. They discussed ideas over coffee, their creative energies blending seamlessly. Eric's spirit soared, but she also felt the familiar shadow of doubt creeping in. Would her uncle let her pursue this opportunity? When Eric returned home and shared the news, Uncle Jide's face turned dark. "You will not waste your time on frivolous dreams," he barked, dismissing her excitement. But Eric stood firm. "This is my future, Uncle. I am not your servant anymore." Turned, watching from the sidelines, cheered her on, but the atmosphere at home grew more hostile. With every step she took toward independence, Uncle Jide felt his grip slipping, and he was desperate to regain control. With Ton's support, Eric decided to take the plunge. She used her savings to travel to Abuja, to meet Adesowa and start their collaboration. The city felt different, more vibrant, more promising. Together, they created a collection that merged their styles, capturing the essence of modern African fashion. The launch was set for a fashion week, and Eric knew this was her chance to break through. They worked day and night, and Eric felt a renewed sense of purpose. Her dreams were slowly becoming tangible. On the day of the fashion week, Eric was filled with excitement and anxiety. As the lights dimmed and the music began, her collection graced the runway, vibrant and alive. Eric's heart raced as she watched her designs come to life, each piece telling her story. The audience erupted in applause, and a sense of validation washed over her. Adesowa turned to her, eyes wide with disbelief. "You've done it, Eric. This is just the beginning." With the success of the launch, Eric's name began to circulate in the fashion world. She was featured in magazines and blogs, and her pieces were sought after by influencers and celebrities. It was a whirlwind of excitement, yet the shadows of her past lingered. Back home, Uncle Jide's anger boiled over. "You've brought shame to this family, flaunting yourself in the spotlight," he shouted. But Eric felt empowered. She had worked too hard to let anyone dim her light. As her fashion line gained traction, Eric realized she could expand her brand. She envisioned a line that celebrated local artisans, empowering them through fair wages and opportunities. Turned, ever supportive, helped her research potential partners. They visited local markets, connecting with craftspeople whose skills deserved recognition. Each encounter inspired Eric to create a brand that was not only stylish but also deeply rooted in community. After months of planning, Eric held a press conference to announce her new venture. She spoke passionately about her mission to uplift local artisans and promote sustainable fashion. The response was overwhelmingly positive, and the support she received felt like a warm embrace from the community. But not everyone was pleased. Uncle Jide's disdain turned to threats. "You'll regret this, Eric. You're making a fool of yourself." His words were venomous, but Eric stood tall, knowing her purpose was greater than his anger. Just as everything seemed to be falling into place, disaster struck. A major shipment of fabrics was delayed, jeopardizing her upcoming launch. Panic set in as Eric scrambled to find alternatives. Ton rallied to help her, reminding her of her strength. Through determination and ingenuity, they sourced local materials, creating a beautiful line that embraced the very essence of Nigeria. When the day arrived, Eric felt a mix of dread and hope. The new line launched successfully, resonating deeply with customers who appreciated the story behind each piece. Eric's commitment to local artisans captured the heart of many, elevating her brand even further. Despite the joy of success, Eric remained wary. Uncle Jide's threats loomed over her like a storm cloud. He had grown increasingly desperate, determined to regain control over her life. Uncle Jide's anger reached a boiling point when he discovered Eric had begun employing artisans directly. In a fit of rage, he demanded that she cut ties with the people she had worked so hard to uplift. "You're ruining our family's reputation," he shouted. Eric felt torn. She longed for approval but could not betray her values. Ton stepped in, encouraging her to stand firm in her beliefs. Your success is your voice, Eric. Use it wisely. That evening, Eric faced Uncle Jide, ready to defend her choices. I will not abandon my dreams or the people who need my help, she declared. You may have raised me, but you do not own me. Uncle Jide was furious, his threats losing their power as Eric's resolve strengthened. The confrontation marked a turning point for her. She realized that she could redefine her narrative, not just as an employee in his house but as a leader in her own right. The community rallied around Eric, standing firm against Uncle Jide's hostility. With Ton by her side, she organized workshops for local artisans, empowering them with skills in business and marketing. The bond they formed was unbreakable, rooted in shared purpose and dreams. As her network grew, so did her influence. Eric was no longer just a fashion designer, she was a beacon of hope for those who had felt voiceless. Just when things seemed to settle, a rival designer emerged, seeking to undermine Eric's brand. They spread rumors and attempted to steal her ideas, but Eric refused to back down. She engaged her followers with transparency, sharing her journey and the truth behind her designs. Her authenticity resonated deeply, and the support she received was overwhelming. As the rival faltered, Eric's reputation only strengthened, a testament to her integrity and hard work. During a networking event, Eric crossed paths with a well-respected philanthropist. Intrigued by her story and her mission, he offered to partner with her, providing resources to expand her reach even further. Eric was thrilled but cautious. She knew the stakes were high, and she needed to ensure this partnership aligned with her values. After extensive discussions, they formulated a plan that would benefit both her brand and the artisans she worked with. With renewed resources, Eric launched an initiative that provided scholarships for young designers. She wanted to create a legacy, ensuring future generations would have the tools to succeed. The first cohort was selected from local communities, and the excitement was palpable. Eric was a mentor now, guiding these young talents as they explored their creativity. This new chapter filled her with purpose, solidifying her belief that success was meant to be shared. The night of the annual charity gala arrived, celebrating her initiative's success. Dressed in a stunning gown made from the very fabric she had sourced, Eric walked the red carpet, her heart swelling with pride. The event was filled with influential figures, all gathered to support a cause that had become so close to her heart. When it was her turn to speak, Eric took a deep breath. "This isn't just my story. It's ours," she proclaimed. "Together, we can transform lives and uplift our communities." The applause that followed was thunderous, echoing her journey from servant to leader. Years later, Eric stood before a gleaming office tower that bore her name. Her journey from an oppressed orphan to a respected businesswoman had been long and arduous, filled with trials she could never have anticipated. But each one had strengthened her, shaping her into the visionary leader she had become. Standing tall, surrounded by friends, her cousin turned, and colleagues who believed in her, Eric knew that her dreams were only just beginning. The city that had once seemed so distant and unkind was now her kingdom, and as she looked out over Lagos, she knew her story would inspire others to believe, to rise, and to claim their own destinies. With a deep breath, she whispered to the memory of her parents, "I made it." And in the city lights, she felt their presence, a silent, eternal blessing for all that was yet to come.